Have you ever noticed the urge to say something so precise and convincing that your interlocutor falls silent? Not with screams or complaints, but only through the power of reason and clarity of thought. Imagine a heated argument, intense emotions, and suddenly your single phrase makes the other person lower their voice, change their expression, and realize they have no more arguments. Today, I will tell you about 5 phrases that hold such power. These expressions are equally effective regardless of who is in front of you, a boss, a difficult relative, or a person trying to impose their viewpoint on you. Their goal is not only to protect you, but to help you assume a position of inner strength, maintaining calm and dignity. Pay special attention to the third phrase. If used correctly, it can disarm even the most experienced manipulator. I strongly recommend listening to the end, as each of these phrases needs to be not just known, but practiced to sound natural and confident at the right moment. For everyone knows the feeling of hopelessness and irritation when you say something reasonable, right, and even necessary, but are not heard. Moreover, it seems that the one who wins is not the one who is right, but the one who speaks louder, more aggressively, and interrupts faster, imposing their opinion. This is how our society is structured. Too often, strength is confused with loudness, conviction with coercion, and respect with fear. But this is just an illusion. It is not respect, but temporary suppression. True strength lies not in shouting over the interlocutor, but in speaking so clearly, confidently, and calmly that the other person has no choice but to listen to you. These 5 answers will help you gain strength of intellect, calmness, and control. Answer number 1. I don't need to raise my voice to be right. There are people who believe that the louder they speak, the more valuable their words are. They shout, interrupt, attack, and expect you to give in and raise your voice too. But as soon as you respond in kind, you've entered their game and lost the advantage. This phrase is your way to exit the chaos without leaving the conversation. Imagine a meeting, a tense argument at home, or an unexpected quarrel on the street. Your interlocutor raises their voice, trying to overpower you, but you remain composed, looking straight ahead and calmly saying, I don't need to raise my voice to be right. These words resonate on 2 levels. Firstly, they stop the attack, showing that you do not obey foreign rules. Secondly, they clearly demonstrate that you act not from weakness, but from strength. You do not refuse dialogue, but you also do not allow yourself to be drawn into noise. The Stoics called this the art of self-control. Epictetus taught that those who cannot control their tongue become slaves to their own emotions. This is what you demonstrate in such moments. Being right does not require loudness. Confidence does not require loudness. When you calmly and confidently utter this phrase, the interlocutor suddenly realizes that the argument becomes unequal. You are not defending yourself. You are leading the conversation. And most importantly, this is noticed not only by you and your interlocutor, but by everyone around. The calm at the center of the storm stands out much brighter than the storm itself. Your way of speaking says more about you than about me. When attacked with sarcasm, mockery, or sharp remarks, the natural reaction is to respond in kind. But it is at this moment that many lose their strength. In response to poisonous words, you only confirm the scenario imposed on you. This phrase is like a mirror. It neither attacks nor justifies, but simply reflects the interlocutor as they have manifested in that moment. Calmly spoken, these words disarm you. You do not engage in the game, seek approval, or lose control. Instead, you make the interlocutor hear themselves and realize the weight of their own words. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is not to become like the one who harmed you. This thought lives in this phrase. You maintain calm while forcing your opponent to confront their own disrespect. Here lies an important lesson. When you refuse to react as expected, you change the game. You rewrite the script, and the one who changes the script always comes out ahead. Epictetus, a slave who became a teacher of wisdom for Roman rulers, said that what happens to you is not important, but how you react to it. This expression is a practical embodiment of his teaching. Your reaction becomes your calling card, and your calmness is your weapon. True strength lies not in lowering oneself to the level of the interlocutor, but in remaining above them. In an argument, victory goes not to the loudest, but to the most precise. Marcus Aurelius ruled the empire without losing his composure. His strength lay not in shouts and threats, but in clarity of thought and self-control. He understood that whoever masters themselves masters the situation. This lesson is more relevant than ever. We live in an age of quick reactions, harsh words, and instant judgments. But it is precisely those who respond with wisdom and dignity that stand out. They are listened to and remembered. Seneca warned, "To speak in anger is like releasing an arrow from a bow." One thoughtless word can destroy relationships and strip away respect that has been built over years. Therefore, remember, these phrases are not meant to humiliate, but to protect. They are not for suppressing others, but to elegantly and dignifiedly defend one's boundaries. One who speaks calmly and clearly is no longer arguing. They are leading. The third response: let's talk when we can do it with respect. Sometimes what seems like a conversation is not really one. It is not an exchange of thoughts, but an attack disguised as dialogue. Your interlocutor interrupts you, raises their voice, imposes their truths, and expects you to accept their rules of the game. But the truth is, you are not obliged to follow these rules. This is not a call to flee or concede, but a statement of your position and principles. Let's talk when we can do it respectfully. These words sound confident and resolute. You are not avoiding the discussion, but raising the bar. Imagine being interrupted again and again, not allowing you to finish your thought. Tension builds in the air, and instead of responding in kind, you pause, take a deep breath, and say, "Let's talk when we can do it with respect." At this moment, the focus shifts. The question is no longer about the subject of the dispute, but about the fundamental conditions under which communication is even possible. Epictetus taught that you cannot control the actions of others, but you can determine what you are willing to accept. This is what you demonstrate in such a situation, clearly defining boundaries. You do not accuse or humiliate, but simply show that respect is the minimum condition for communication. Everything else does not matter. Often in such moments, silence reigns, because a person unable to converse with respect loses the right to communicate with you. Response number 4. I prefer not to continue this conversation. There are situations where each new word loses meaning. Your interlocutor does not hear and does not wish to hear. Their goal is not to understand, but to prevail, not to seek the truth, but to prove their superiority, even at the cost of your humiliation. In such moments, this phrase becomes your shield. It is short, clear, and incredibly strong. There are no excuses, pleas for understanding, or concessions. It is not a reaction, but a conscious decision. It is not weakness, but the final point you establish. Imagine a dispute where every word from the interlocutor is laced with provocation and irritation. You feel your patience waning and the usual urge to respond in kind, but instead, you take a breath, look directly, and calmly say, I prefer not to continue this conversation. At that moment, the dynamics of communication change. You disarm your opponent. A conversation based on aggression cannot exist without your involvement, and you choose to exclude it from your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote that by choosing not to be offended, you will not feel offended. This wisdom is undeniable. When you choose not to continue an argument, you preserve your energy, attention, and dignity. This is not defeat, but a mature choice. You clearly demonstrate that your inner peace is more important than a futile desire to win at any cost. And those who watch you understand, you do not avoid conflict, but rise above it. This phrase closes the door. The ability to close doors at the right moment often becomes the greatest manifestation of strength. Answer number 5. That is your opinion. I respect it, but do not share it. Not all disputes occur with those who wish you harm. Sometimes they arise with loved ones, friends, relatives, or colleagues, and their intentions may be good. They genuinely believe they know what is best for you, but in their eagerness to impose their viewpoint, they cross boundaries and fail to notice it. Here, a response that maintains respect while clearly stating your position is crucial. This is your opinion, and I respect it, but I do not share it. There is no aggression in this phrase, but there is firmness. She demonstrates that you are ready to listen and value another's opinion while remaining true to yourself. Imagine a situation where a close person insists on a decision that does not resonate with you. or insists on a belief you do not share, or he convinces you that his view is the only correct one. In such moments, many feel they must either enter into an endless argument or remain silent for the sake of peace. But both options lead to internal conflict. Instead, you calmly say, "That is your opinion, and I respect it, but I do not share it." Something almost magical is happening here, and your interlocutor loses the ability to attack. You do not belittle their position or reject it with disdain. You simply affirm your independence. Seneca said that being a slave to someone else's opinion is the worst of all imprisonments. This phrase is the key to the doors of such a prison. It is an elegant way to say, "I think for myself, and I do not need your consent to remain myself." By using it, you gain what many lack: emotional independence. The more often people see that their opinion does not control you, the more they begin to respect your freedom. True respect arises not when you agree with everyone, but when you calmly demonstrate that you have the right to think differently. Now you have 5 answers that not only protect you, but also strengthen you from within. These are 5 phrases spoken with calmness, confidence, and clarity that silence the other. And he falls silent, not because you have suppressed him, but because you have risen above. Because true respect is not enforced by force, it arises from your character. Let us remember them once more. I do not need to raise my voice to be right. How you speak says more about you than about me. Let's talk when we can do so with respect. I prefer not to continue this conversation. That's your opinion, and I respect it, but I don't share it. Don't underestimate the power of these words. As you begin to practice them and gradually incorporate them into your life, you will notice changes. People will start to listen to you more carefully, choose their words more cautiously in your presence, and treat you with greater respect. You are no longer someone who can be easily provoked or used. You are a person with inner presence, control, and a strong voice.